Tonight, we delve into the life and legacy of William Shakespeare, the literary master whose works have profoundly shaped the worlds of theatre and storytelling, from his enduring plays to his lasting impact on the English language. Shakespeare's words continue to inspire and captivate audiences worldwide, transcending generations. But before we begin, take a moment to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share where you are watching from and the time in your location. Shakespeare was born in the spring of 1564 in the quiet town of Stratford-upon-Avon, England. Although the exact date remains uncertain, tradition places his birth on April 23rd. Stratford was a peaceful place, with timber-framed houses, white-plastered walls, and the meandering river Avon reflecting the skies above. William was the third child of John Shakespeare, a glover and local merchant, and Mary Arden, from a well-respected farming family. Their home on Henley Street was simple yet cozy, filled with the sense of leather and parchment from his father's work. As a child, William likely roamed the fields and woods surrounding the town, marveling at the wildflowers and listening to bird song. He probably wandered along the river banks, watching the gentle flow of the water and observing nature's small wonders. William attended the King's New School, where he studied reading, writing, and classical literature, diving into the works of Roman poets and playwrights like Ovid and Seneca. These stories of gods, heroes, and fate would fuel his imagination and lay the groundwork for his own future masterpieces. At 18, William married Anne Hathaway, a farmer's daughter, and they quietly tied the knot in a local church. A year later, they had their first child, Susanna, followed by twins Hamnet and Judith. Their small home was filled with the joy and chaos of a growing family. Even with the responsibilities of a young family, William's mind seemed to long for something more. By the late 1580s or early 1590s, he left Stratford behind, heading to London, a city brimming with energy and opportunity. In London, Shakespeare immersed himself in the world of theatre. The city was a place of contrast, with cobbled streets, bustling merchants, and a burgeoning metropolis. Theatres were quickly becoming cultural hubs, attracting people from all walks of life. Shakespeare began as an actor and playwright with a company called the Lord Chamberlain's Men. His early plays, performed in small theatres, drew audiences eager to experience stories of love, betrayal, and adventure. The faint scent of burning tallow candles filled the air as the excitement of the crowd mixed with the hum of anticipation. As his talent became increasingly evident, Shakespeare's works quickly captivated London audiences. His early plays, including Henry V, Titus Andronicus and the Comedy of Errors explored themes of war, revenge, and political intrigue. Each line he wrote seemed alive with human emotion and the beauty of language. By the late 1590s, he had become a well-respected figure in the theatre world, purchasing shares in the newly built Globe Theatre, which became the heart of his creative endeavours. The Globe, with its thatched roof and open-air stage, welcomed thousands of spectators. It was here that Shakespeare's iconic works, such as Romeo and Juliet A Midsummer Night's Dream and The Merchant of Venice came to life. Audiences laughed, cried, and marveled at these tales of young love, magic, and complex relationships. As Shakespeare's reputation grew, so did the complexity of his plays. In the early 1600s, he penned some of his most profound tragedies, including Hamlet King Lear and Macbeth which delved into themes of ambition, jealousy, madness, and fate. Even with the success he found in London, Shakespeare maintained strong ties to Stratford. He often returned home, where he purchased a larger house, one of the biggest in town. This house became a place of solace and reflection, a peaceful retreat from the bustling theatre world. In the later years of his life, his works took on a gentler tone. Plays like The Tempest and The Winter's Tale explored themes of forgiveness, redemption, and the passage of time, reflecting a man who had experienced both the beauty and sorrow of life. On April 23rd, 1616, at 52 years old, Shakespeare passed away in Stratford-upon-Avon. He was buried in the chancel of Holy Trinity Church, where his gravestone still rests. His legacy, however, continued long after his death, and his influence on literature, theatre, and language has been immeasurable. His works were preserved by his friends, John Heminges and Henry Condell, who compiled the first folio in 1623, ensuring that 36 of his plays would endure through time. Shakespeare's contributions to the English language are unmatched. He coined or popularized thousands of words and phrases that remain in use today. Expressions like break the ice wild goose chase and heart of gold all trace their origins back to his plays. His ability to capture the depths of human emotion in his characters gave the language a richness that endures. His characters, whether the tragic Romeo and Juliet the philosophical Hamlet or the ambitious Macbeth are not just figures on a stage. They are living, breathing reflections of humanity. Shakespeare's works were not merely for entertainment. They challenged audiences to think, feel, and understand the complexities of life. In his time, the theatre served as a shared space where people from all social classes could unite and experience powerful stories that exposed deep truths about human nature. Though Shakespeare lived in a time of great change, his works have remained constant. His influence is still felt today in every corner of the world. Through adaptations, translations, and modern interpretations, his stories continue to be performed, and his words continue to shape the way we express ourselves. His legacy is a testament to the enduring power of language. Storytelling and creativity. As you lie here, drifting into sleep, think of Shakespeare's journey. His story reminds us that even the humblest beginnings can lead to greatness, and that the world is full of stories waiting to be told. Allow his life and work to inspire your dreams, just as his words continue to inspire generations across the world. Korea's mind swirled with a mixture of excitement and unease as she recalled Kazim al-Talib's warning. There were powerful figures determined to keep the secrets of the manuscript, locked away knowledge. After all, was a finite resource, best kept hidden under tight surveillance. As the wind kicked up sand along her path, Korea gripped her satchel with quiet determination, vowing that she would not be silenced by the looming threat of twilight. The caravan approached a modest oasis, its date palms casting long shadows across the still water. Om guided the camels into a protective semicircle, while travelers began erecting tents and gathering firewood to fend off the evening chill. Drawn to the water's edge, Korea listened to the low murmur of conversation among wary merchants. Some discussed the growing political unrest in distant courts. Others bemoaned the rising price of salt. As night settled over the oasis, an eerie silence enveloped the camp, broken only by the soft rustle of the wind. A crescent moon hung in the sky, casting a faint glow over the ruins of what seemed to be an ancient settlement. It was here, under the expanse of stars, that Korea turned her attention back to the jade-bound manuscript in her hands. Its pages were a mix of empirical observations and philosophical musings, with references to astronomical systems predating the widely accepted TOEIC model. The knowledge hidden in these pages had the potential to shake established beliefs. If ever fully deciphered, Soon stepped away from the group, beckoning Korea to join her near a withered acacia. "You stand out among us," the merchant observed, her voice calm yet pointed. "Your eyes never rest, and you guard that bag as though it holds the soul of a king." Korea, ever cautious, offered a vague explanation that she was merely a scholar entrusted with a rare and important text. Soon nodded, but her warning was clear. Spies seeking advantage for rival factions often infiltrated caravans. Korea was urged to stay vigilant, especially with the growing chaos in Korsun, where rumors spread like wildfire. Unable to sleep, Korea lingered by the embers of the fire, studying the star-filled sky, her thoughts consumed by the coded charts hidden in the manuscript. The caravan had often spoken of a hidden library in the mountain city of Vase, said to house the accumulated knowledge of forgotten civilizations. Could it be that the manuscript was only a fragment of a larger, more significant puzzle, scattered across the Silk Road? At dawn, the caravan resumed its journey, passing over a rocky escarpment that led to a vast, rippling sea of sand. By midday, they paused for water. Azun distributed the rations with efficiency, while Korea noticed a soft-spoken man named Malik, who carried a small, locked chest. His nervousness was evident, his eyes darting with unease whenever the topic of desert raiders was brought up. Malik's paranoia was palpable, and Korea could not shake the feeling that there was more to him than met the eye. Later in the afternoon, the caravan encountered a group of horsemen, flying the banner of a minor warlord allied with the region's most feared bandits. Tension buzzed in the air as Azun halted the caravan, awaiting the riders' approach. After a terse exchange, the horsemen rode off, seemingly uninterested in conflict. Yet the encounter left a lingering sense of unease. Azun, ever cautious, suggested a change of route to avoid known bandit territories. As evening descended, the caravan settled in a narrow gorge, its towering walls casting long shadows. Azun insisted they camp in a sheltered alcove, half hidden by jagged boulders. It was here, by the flickering firelight, that Korea delved deeper into the manuscript. Strange symbols and cryptic commentary adorned the margins, hinting at a civilization that mapped the stars in ways that defied current understanding. The advanced geometry suggested by the text could challenge everything known about astronomy. Just as Korea's excitement surged, a cry rang out from the edge of the camp. Malik was standing by his chest, trembling, its contents now gone. His voice was filled with panic as he insisted that something vital had been stolen, a letter from the governor of Basra, a document that could end a trade blockade and save countless lives. The caravan erupted into chaos. suspicion flying as each member of the group was questioned. Evidence of intruders, footprints left in the sand, only deepened the mystery. Who among them could be trusted? The theft reinforced the earlier warning about secrets attracting opportunists. Korea's grip on the manuscript tightened as she realized the dangers that now surrounded them. The road ahead was becoming perilous, and the stakes of preserving knowledge had never been higher. The following morning, the caravan set out with more caution, the loss of Malik's letter casting a shadow over their every move. The air was dry and harsh, and the travelers moved in silence, each absorbed in their own thoughts. By midday, they discovered the remains of a ruined caravan, abandoned in haste, its walls caved in and its courtyard scattered with debris. Malik, still shaken, sifted through the remnants of his chest, searching for any clue as to who might be responsible for the theft. Korea, feeling the weight of the situation, wandered into the overgrown courtyard of the ruin. There, a dried-up fountain stood surrounded by vines. The carved serpents on its basin seemed to pulse with an otherworldly energy, as though the place once held knowledge beyond mortal understanding. She opened the manuscript once more, reading a passage about the 4 points beyond the boundaries of earthly measure. The text spoke of alignments in the stars that allowed glimpses into knowledge unattainable through ordinary means. It was a startling idea, but one Korea had encountered before, in the mystical traditions of Persia and India. As dusk fell and the caravan huddled around small fires, the weight of their journey began to settle in. Each person in the caravan carried their own secret's loss, ambition, or desperation. And yet, despite their differences, they were all bound by the same perilous road, each of them seeking something hidden. As Korea sat by the fire, her thoughts turned back to the manuscript. Was it truly worth the danger? She knew the answer. Knowledge had never come without cost. Later that night, as she studied the stars, an elderly trader approached her, speaking of his travels to a mountaintop sanctuary, where ancient writings hinted at a grand puzzle scattered across the Silk Road. Was her manuscript part of that lost legacy? The trader's tale spoke of cyclical time, where civilizations rose and fell, leaving behind only faint echoes for the next. It was a tantalizing thought, but one that came with its own dangers. A sudden disturbance interrupted her thoughts, a faint shout from soon, followed by the silhouette of a figure darting across the ruins. The caravan was on high alert once more. The intrusion lasted only a few moments, but it confirmed what Korea had feared. They were being watched. As the group prepared to leave at dawn, Korea knew the path ahead would only become more treacherous. The manuscript, and the knowledge it contained, would be both their greatest weapon and their most dangerous burden. The significance seemed amplified in the unsettling darkness as she cradled her precious manuscript, feeling the weight of unspoken centuries pressed between its covers. The next day would bring fresh confrontations, but for now, she could only watch the flickering embers and wait for the uncertain dawn. When it arrived, it brought brittle clarity, sharpening every stone, shrub, and expression in its light. Without wasting any time, she ordered a swift departure, and the caravan began assembling beneath a sky streaked with lavender and rose, its fleeting beauty overshadowed by the pressing need for vigilance. The camels were loaded, watch rotations decided, and they set off, following a narrow, winding path that descended toward lower elevations. The air was dry and metallic, charged with unspoken tension. By midday, the landscape began to change, transitioning into rolling hills, small streams feeding into the terrain. The travelers approached a shallow creek, where reeds rustled in the wind. The carrier noticed footprints in the damp earth, suggesting another group had passed recently, heading in the same direction. The thought of being followed brought a scowl to Soon's face, and the tension in the group grew palpable. Concern rippled through the caravan, and Afon urged them onward, picking up the pace. As they trudged through rocky slopes and patches of thorny vegetation, the outlines of a fortified town appeared on the horizon. It was Gish, a mid-sized trading post, rumored to host pilgrims from the Indus region. If they could reach it by nightfall, they would have the protection of solid stone walls, even if it was only temporary. As they approached the gates, they encountered a row of guards in mismatched armor. After examining the travel permits, the guards allowed them entry in exchange for a modest toll. Inside, the streets were cramped with vendors selling earth-toned cloth and hammered bronze jewelry. The aromas of grilled meat and fresh bread tempted the wary travelers, but an undercurrent of exhaustion was palpable. Soon found a secure compound for the caravan to rest, a stone-walled courtyard with space for the camels and a small stable for the donkeys. The carrier, eager to learn more about the group pursuing them, ventured into the town's winding lanes. In a public square, men were engaged in strategy games, while a cluster of pilgrims chanted in a language she did not understand. Among the murmurs, rumors circulated that a band of masked riders had passed through the day before, asking about a traveling scholar. The mention of the scholar sent a chill through her, and she hurried back to the compound. There, she found Malik pacing near the gate, anxiously fiddling with a leather pouch. He had overheard similar rumors strangers were seeking news of a woman carrying forbidden documents. Realizing the net was closing in, Korea knew they had little time left. Afon suggested leaving Gish under the cover of darkness and heading east along lesser-known roads, despite the risks. After a hushed departure, the caravan moved swiftly, using minimal torches and handling the camels with calm precision. They slipped out through a secondary gate, bribing a night watchman, and journeyed on, their progress guided by moonlight. The chill of the night pressed down on Korea as she clutched the manuscript. Her mission had become a race against time, and failure now meant an irreparable loss, not just for her, but for an entire lineage of knowledge. As they moved through rolling hills, the group remained vigilant, halting often to listen for signs of pursuit. The night passed uneventfully, and by the time they reached a shallow ravine, they stopped to rest. Exhausted but alert, Korea sat on a flat rock, watching the stars above. Tomorrow, or the next day, they would reach Varash, a city rumored to harbor hidden monasteries. If they could make it that far, the Jade manuscript might finally find a place where its arcane secrets could be safely deciphered. But that hope was fragile, like a candle flame flickering in a gusty corridor. Dawn's first light revealed the barren landscape, and the caravan moved on, making their way across rolling slopes and stony highlands. The trail grew more hazardous, with loose gravel and sharp descents threatening to send the donkeys tumbling into gorges. Despite the difficulty, The group's morale held steady under Afon's firm direction. As they ascended higher, the air grew thinner, and the coolness sharpened their senses. Tiny alpine flowers broke the monotony, their vivid petals a welcome contrast to the weeks of dust. The valley below stretched out, and the distant peaks, wrapped in mist, seemed to call to them. The locals named these the Thousand-Year Mountains, rumored to shelter monastic retreats older than any known dynasty. The promise of reaching them bolstered their spirits. By midday, they stopped at a rivulet to water the animals, and Courier and Afon consulted a hand-drawn map. Varash lay 2 days' travel beyond the ridges, but the path ahead was treacherous, blocked sometimes by landslides. Still, the urgency of evading their pursuers pushed them forward. The road grew steeper, with ancient stone markers at each switchback. Courier paused to trace her fingers over one such marker, an image of a stylized sun encompassed by intersecting circles. Something about it resonated with the diagrams in her jade-bound manuscript, and she made a mental note to compare them later. The markers might be remnants of the civilization described in the manuscript's cryptic pages. In the late afternoon, the skies darkened, and a storm approached. Soon urged them to find shelter, and they took refuge under a rocky ledge. The rain came in torrents, flooding the path and turning the landscape into a slippery quagmire. The storm raged for hours, but the travelers endured. Courier, using the enforced pause, examined the codex, sheltering it beneath a canvas. With each flash of lightning, she studied the text, finding a strange kinship with the scholars of the past who had once braved similar wildernesses. When the storm finally subsided, they moved again, wary but resolute. They traversed the hazardous terrain, crossing narrow mountain ridges. Each step was an act of vigilance, as the group listened for the sounds of rockfalls or pursuit. Eventually, the peaks gave way to a wide plateau, and from there they saw Varash, a city carved from the mountain itself, surrounded by mist. Its walls blended with the cliffs, and the mist swirling around the parapets created an ethereal, dreamlike image. According to legend, Varash was older than any recorded dynasty, built on a site revered for its celestial alignments. As they approached the gates, a hushed silence fell over the caravan. Inside, the city's streets ascended in tiers, and the atmosphere was thick with scholarship. The group was guided to a spacious courtyard, and Courier soon excused herself to search for the monastery library, rumored to house ancient texts similar to her manuscript. After following the directions of a scribe, she reached a carved door flanked by statues. Inside, the library was filled with shelves of scrolls, codices, and tablets. The monks moved silently among the stacks, and Courier approached a tall, bearded monk named Brother Kalen. After revealing her manuscript and its connection to advanced astronomy, he led her to a private study chamber. There, they found a set of ancient star charts that aligned closely with the diagrams in her codex. The excitement in Brother Callan's eyes mirrored her own as they realized the manuscript might be part of a lost tradition. But there was a missing piece, a sister manuscript, rumored to lie farther east. Courier's heart sank, knowing the road ahead would be more dangerous than ever. Still, the discovery reinvigorated her. As she returned to the inn, the caravan members were already discussing their next move. Unidentified riders had been asking about a woman scholar with a prized artifact. Courier knew they had little time before their pursuers caught up. Despite the looming threat, she felt a renewed sense of determination. Her mission had grown even more crucial. With the manuscript's secrets now partially revealed, she understood that her path was intertwined with ancient legacies that demanded guardianship. Tomorrow would bring new decisions whether to stay in Varash, search for the missing manuscript, or face the dangers ahead. The tapestry of centuries had woven her fate into this moment, and she knew her journey had only just begun. The importance of the soul and the need to nurture it through ethical living were central to Socrates' philosophy. For him, material wealth and social status held little significance compared to the value of living a just and honorable life. Athens, during Socrates' lifetime, was a city in turmoil grappling with political unrest, military conflicts, and evolving cultural values. Socrates' teachings, which encouraged critical thinking and questioned traditional norms, were seen by some as a challenge to the stability of society. His probing questions made him a controversial figure, admired by many but also regarded with suspicion and hostility by others. In 399 BC, at the age of 70, Socrates was brought to trial, accused of corrupting the youth and committing impiety, essentially for not recognizing the gods of Athens and introducing new deities. His accusers portrayed him as a dangerous influence, undermining the social fabric. During the trial, Socrates did not beg for his life, nor did he soften his teachings. Instead, he used the occasion to defend his principles, arguing that his method of questioning and engaging in discussion served Athens by encouraging its citizens to think critically and live virtuously. Despite his eloquent defense, the jury found Socrates guilty, and he was sentenced to death by drinking hemlock, a poison that would end his life. In the days leading up to his execution, Socrates remained calm, surrounded by his closest friends and students. He continued to discuss life, death, and philosophy, seeing death not as something to fear, but as a transition to another form of existence. On the day of his execution, Socrates drank the hemlock with dignity and courage, accepting his fate without bitterness or resentment. His final moments were spent in conversation, a testament to his belief that the pursuit of wisdom transcends even the limits of life. Although Socrates' physical presence was lost to Athens, his ideas lived on through his students, particularly Plato, who devoted much of his work to preserving and expanding Socrates' teachings. Socrates is remembered today as the father of Western philosophy, a figure whose unwavering commitment to truth and virtue continues to inspire and shape philosophical thought. His life reminds us of the importance of questioning, seeking knowledge, and living with integrity. As you reflect on Socrates' journey, let his story guide you into a state of peace and relaxation. His dedication to wisdom shows us that the pursuit of understanding is a lifelong journey, one that imbues our lives with meaning and purpose. Imagine the quiet streets of ancient Athens, the soft glow of the setting sun casting long shadows on the stone buildings. Hear the murmur of conversations as Socrates walks among the people, sparking thoughts and reflections with his questions. Let this image fill your mind with calmness and wonder as you gently drift into sleep, inspired by the wisdom of Socrates. Socrates' life teaches us that even in the face of adversity, the pursuit of truth and the care of the soul are endeavors worth striving for. As you relax, let his story settle into your thoughts. His life, lived centuries ago, carries timeless lessons that resonate through every moment of reflection and inquiry. Socrates reminds us that even the simplest questions can lead to profound discoveries, and that truth, however difficult, is always worth seeking. Picture Socrates standing in the agora, the bustling marketplace of Athens, surrounded by merchants selling their wares, philosophers engaging in deep discussions, and citizens talking about the affairs of the city. In the midst of this lively scene, Socrates stands calmly, drawing others into conversations that challenge their beliefs and provoke thought. As the sun sets over Athens, the city quiets, and Socrates continues his discussions, his voice carrying the gentle rhythm of inquiry, as oil lamps flicker and the stars begin to shine above. Socrates saw philosophy not as an abstract pursuit, but as a way of life, a commitment to questioning, learning, and living with integrity. Imagine his students gathered around him, their faces illuminated by the soft light as they listen intently. Among them are young minds who will carry his teachings forward, shaping the future of philosophy and ensuring that his legacy endures. The atmosphere is peaceful, filled with shared knowledge and the timeless beauty of human connection. Socrates' belief in the power of dialogue teaches us the importance of listening as much as questioning. In a world filled with noise and haste, his approach encourages us to slow down, reflect, and seek clarity in our thoughts and interactions. His humility, his willingness to admit ignorance, and his relentless pursuit of understanding inspire us to approach life with openness and curiosity. As you relax further, imagine Socrates walking along the quiet shores of ancient Greece, the gentle waves lapping at the sand. The moon casts a silver light over the sea, and a cool breeze carries the scent of salt and earth. Socrates walks slowly, his thoughts as calm and steady as the rhythm of the waves. In this peaceful moment, his dedication to truth and wisdom feels vast and eternal, like the ocean itself. Let the serenity of this image embrace you as you rest. Socrates' life reminds us that even in moments of uncertainty, the search for meaning and understanding brings us closer to the essence of who we are. His courage to stand by his principles, even in the face of great adversity, is a reminder to live with integrity and purpose. As you relax deeper, picture the soft sound of sandals on stone as Socrates ascends the steps of a temple, the sky painted with the warm hues of dawn. The first rays of sunlight illuminate the ancient city, symbolizing renewal and the endless possibilities that each new day brings. Let this image fill you with a sense of hope and calm, a quiet assurance that the pursuit of truth is always worth the effort. As you drift into a deep and restful sleep, carry with you the wisdom and spirit of Socrates. His life teaches us that even the simplest questions can open the door to profound insights, and that the search for understanding is a journey without end. As Socrates once said, "The unexamined life is not worth living." Let this sentiment inspire you to seek meaning and purpose. Even in the smallest moments of your life, picture the serene landscape of ancient Athens at night, the soft glow of lanterns lining the narrow streets. Socrates, with his simple cloak draped over his shoulders, moves quietly among the people, his presence humble but impactful. Each conversation he sparks is a journey into thought, a reminder that wisdom begins with wonder. Socrates' approach to life was marked by his unwavering commitment to virtue. He often spoke of the importance of living in harmony with one's values, of aligning actions with principles. To him, the care of the soul was the highest purpose, far more important than wealth, fame, or material success. This philosophy reminds us that true fulfillment comes not from external achievements, but from inner growth and ethical living. As you rest, let the wisdom of this teaching soothe your thoughts. The idea that our choices shape not only our lives, but the essence of who we are encourages us to approach each moment with intention and care. Socrates' belief in the transformative power of self-reflection invites us to look inward and nurture our inner lives with the same dedication and compassion that we offer to others. Now imagine the gentle breeze of a spring morning in ancient Greece. The hills around Athens bathed in golden light. Socrates walks with his students along a quiet path, the sounds of birdsong and rustling leaves creating a peaceful symphony. Their conversation flows naturally, filled with questions and ideas that challenge and inspire. This idyllic scene captures the essence of Socrates' philosophy, a life lived in connection with nature, community, and the endless pursuit of knowledge. As you drift deeper into relaxation, think of Socrates' courage in facing the end of his life, his calm acceptance of his fate, his willingness to stand by his beliefs, even in the face of death, is a testament to the strength of his character. He taught his students not to fear death, but to view it as a natural part of existence, a transition that, like life itself, holds the potential for learning and growth. Feel the serenity of Socrates' perspective as it envelopes you like a warm blanket. His unwavering faith in the value of a life well lived reminds us that, even in moments of uncertainty, we can find peace by staying true to our values and seeking the truth within ourselves. His life, marked by challenges, was ultimately one of profound purpose and enduring legacy. As the night deepens, imagine Socrates standing on a hill overlooking Athens, the city lights twinkling below like stars fallen to earth. The wind carries with it the faint sounds of laughter and conversation, the echoes of a city alive with thought and creativity. In this quiet moment, Socrates reflects on the beauty of a world filled with questions and possibilities. Let this image guide you into a deep, restful sleep. The story of Socrates reminds us that life's greatest journeys are not measured by distance, but by the depth of our exploration. His commitment to wisdom, humility in the face of the unknown, and courage to challenge convention inspire us to live with authenticity and purpose. As the soothing story of Socrates carries you further into relaxation, let the timelessness of his teachings resonate deeply within you. His belief in the transformative power of questioning and reflection is a reminder that growth begins when we dare to examine our lives. As dawn breaks, the first rays of the sun spill over the Acropolis, casting soft hues of pink and gold across the marble temples. Socrates stands quietly with his students in the serene morning air, his voice calm and steady as he shares his thoughts. The city of Athens begins to stir, with its streets slowly filling with life. But in this peaceful moment, the exchange of ideas feels eternal, as though the wisdom shared is as constant as the rising sun. Socrates' method of teaching was not to provide answers, but to inspire others to think for themselves. He believed that through dialogue, one could uncover deeper truths and challenge long-held assumptions. His way of guiding others through questions was both gentle and profound, a reminder that the best teachers often help us find our own way. Let these thoughts settle in your mind as you relax, reflecting on the simplicity and humility that characterized Socrates' life. Despite living in a city renowned for its grandeur, Socrates valued humility and lived with few possessions. He found joy not in material wealth, but in the richness of thought and the deep connections he formed with others. His simplicity serves as a reminder that contentment often lies not in accumulating more, but in appreciating what truly matters. As you drift deeper into rest, imagine the stars above Athens, their soft twinkle lighting the night sky. Socrates, seated with his students, gazes upward, contemplating the mysteries of the universe. In the stillness of the night, his mind wanders through thoughts of the cosmos, reflecting the endless pursuit of knowledge. Shifting to a different chapter of history, we turn our attention to the Ninth Legion. Known as Legio X Hispana, one of the most battle-hardened and feared units in the Roman army, its origins trace back to the turbulent civil wars of the late Republic. Raised by Julius Caesar in the 1st century BC, the Ninth Legion fought fiercely in the Gallic Wars and earned a reputation for unwavering discipline and brutal efficiency. Over the decades, it became a cornerstone of Roman military might, participating in some of the empire's most pivotal campaigns across Spain, Germania, and the rebellious frontiers of Britannia. However, despite its glory, the Ninth Legion mysteriously vanished from historical records by the early 2nd century CE. Unlike other Roman legions, whose movements were carefully documented, the Ninth disappeared without a trace. Historians have puzzled over its fate for centuries. Some speculate that it was destroyed in a catastrophic battle, while others believe it was quietly disbanded or marched into the unknown, leaving only whispers in its wake. The most widely accepted theory is that the Ninth Legion was sent north into the uncharted highlands of Caledonia on a mission that ended in disaster. Rome had suffered previous defeats, such as the infamous Teutoburg Forest Massacre in 9C, where 3 entire legions were annihilated by Germanic tribes. But unlike the survivors of that battle, no one lived to tell the tale of the Ninth Legion. It is believed that the legion was ambushed by Caledonian forces, masters of guerrilla warfare, in a land that offered no refuge. Surrounded and outmatched, the Ninth was wiped out to the last man, with no survivors, no messengers, and no records of the event. An alternative theory suggests that the Ninth Legion suffered an internal mutiny, with soldiers worn down by harsh campaigns and poor supplies turning against their officers. This internal strife could explain why the Roman Empire never acknowledged the disappearance of the Ninth. After all, a rogue legion could tarnish the empire's reputation, and Emperor Hadrian may have preferred to erase all evidence of the legion's fate. The timing of the Ninth Legion's disappearance coincides suspiciously with the construction of Hadrian's Wall, which began in 122 CE. This massive stone barrier was built to seal off the Roman-controlled south from the unconquered north. Could it be that the wall was a silent admission that Caledonia was beyond Rome's reach, and that the Ninth Legion's destruction proved further expansion was impossible? Another theory posits that the Ninth did not face annihilation, but was instead broken up and reassigned to other frontiers. There are records suggesting that remnants of the legion might have been relocated to Germania or the eastern provinces. Yet, despite this, the Ninth's name was never reused, and no monuments were erected in its honor. The disappearance of the Ninth Legion remains one of the greatest mysteries in Roman history, with no memorials, no triumphal inscriptions, and no surviving accounts of its final battle. The absence of any official record of the Ninth Legion's fate raises unsettling questions. How could over 5,000 trained men simply vanish, unnoticed by anyone? The best theories suggest that the Legion was lured into hostile territory, perhaps under the belief that they were marching towards a routine skirmish, only to be ambushed and slaughtered without any survivors. The complete destruction of the Ninth would explain why no reinforcements were sent, and why no Roman military response was recorded. Could it be that Rome, aware of the danger the Ninth faced, simply abandoned them? By the early 2nd century, the empire was overstretched, involved in numerous conflicts on various fronts. The disappearance of the Ninth Legion, without any attempt to rescue or avenge them, suggests that Rome may have decided to cover up their failure, a decision that would later be buried in the sands of time, while some historians speculate that the Ninth may have been quietly disbanded due to internal mutiny or poor performance. It remains a troubling thought that such a formidable Unit 1 that fought across 3 continents was entirely erased from history. The Ninth Legion's fate is a shadow in the Empire's annals, a silence in place of what should have been a memorial to its great battles and heroic efforts. If the Ninth truly met its end in the mist-covered highlands of Caledonia, the question remains, why was no one there to save them? How could Roman Empire founded on military strength fail to respond when one of its most elite legions faced extinction? The Ninth Legion's disappearance into the wilds of northern Britannia remains one of history's greatest unsolved mysteries. A story of valor, betrayal, and a disappearance so complete that it has been lost to time. The Ninth Legion marched into history, leaving no record, no survivors, and no explanation. What remains is a legend, one of the most haunting gaps in the story of Rome, and a reminder of the fragility of even the most powerful empires. The fate of the Ninth may forever remain buried in the mists of history, hidden in the shadows of the Caledonian highlands, lost to time's cruel embrace. During Hadrian's reign, Rome faced numerous challenges. Hostile tribes threatened the empire's borders, with the Pathans on one side and tribes in Germania on the other. His predecessor, Emperor Trajan, had aggressively expanded Rome's territories, annexing Dacia, modern-day Romania, and waging costly wars that drained the empire's treasury. By the time Hadrian took the throne in 117 CE, he was left with little choice. Either strengthen Rome's hold on its existing provinces or attempt to push further into Britannia. His decision was clear. He abandoned the policy of expansion in Britain and focused on reinforcing its borders. A few years after the disappearance of the Ninth Legion, Hadrian ordered the construction of a massive fortification known as Hadrian's Wall in 122 CE. Stretching across northern Britannia, was the wall an implicit admission of Rome's defeat in the north? Did Hadrian come to the realization that the frontier beyond was too hazardous to maintain, and that the destruction of the Ninth Legion proved further conquest was impossible? Another theory suggests the ninth was sacrificed for political reasons. Some historians believe the legion's commanders may have been involved in a failed rebellion or mutiny, leading Rome to erase the legion's existence from history rather than confront an embarrassing internal conflict. The Roman Empire was notorious for revising history. Emperors' names were sometimes expunged from records, as if they had never existed. If the ninth had rebelled, Hadrian may have chosen to erase the unit's existence rather than risk exposing internal strife. Even if the ninth was destroyed in battle, rather than through treachery, the Romans were quick to suppress news of military defeats. The empire relied heavily on propaganda to maintain the illusion of invincibility. If an entire legion was wiped out, it could have inspired further rebellions against Rome's enemies. In such a case, Hadrian's administration might have found it more convenient to bury the truth, leaving the fate of the Ninth Legion shrouded in mystery. Another possibility is that the Ninth was not annihilated, but simply removed from the historical record for more mundane reasons. Perhaps the legion was quietly reassigned to another part of the empire, such as the eastern provinces, which were embroiled in conflicts with the Parthians. There is some evidence that elements of the Ninth Legion might have appeared in records from the Middle East decades later, though there is no clear link to confirm whether this was the same unit or a rebranded legion. A more troubling theory suggests that the Ninth Legion might have deserted after years of harsh conditions. Dwindling supplies and poor leadership. Could the men of the Ninth have simply walked away from Rome? Roman soldiers were known to desert their posts and integrate with local tribes. If the Ninth Legion, abandoned by their command, chose to disperse among the native tribes of Caledonia, their descendants might have eventually melted into the population of Scotland, leaving no trace behind. The disappearance of the Ninth Legion has evolved from a historical mystery into a full-blown legend. Over the centuries, this story has sparked countless speculations, folklore, and even conspiracy theories. While historians, archaeologists, and storytellers alike have attempted to reconstruct the fate of the lost legion, its true story remains elusive. Did the Ninth Legion perish in the wilderness of Caledonia, or did its soldiers survive, their story forever lost to history's fog? One theory that has endured is that the Ninth Legion was not destroyed in Britain at all, but was instead quietly relocated within the empire. Some scattered references suggest parts of the Ninth may have served in the eastern provinces, perhaps in Judea or Cappadocia, many years after the Legion's last known presence in Britain. This could imply that Hadrian transferred the Ninth, breaking it up and reassigning its men to other legions. If this theory is correct, then the legion was not annihilated on some blood-soaked battlefield. Rather, its disappearance may have been the result of gradual attrition, with survivors absorbed into other units. The legion's identity may have been obscured by bureaucracy, erased not by battle but by administrative shifts. But if this was the case, why was the Ninth never reconstituted? Rome often revived legions after they suffered defeats, sometimes even using the same number and incorporating new recruits. The fact that the Ninth was never revived suggests something more significant happened, something Rome wanted forgotten. Folklore surrounding the Ninth suggests more dramatic possibilities. One legend says that the Ninth did not perish, but rather broke its oath to Rome, Realizing they had been abandoned, the soldiers of the Ninth turned their backs on the empire and vanished into the wilderness. Roman deserters were known to join barbarian societies, even rising to leadership roles. Could the men of the Ninth have integrated into the Caledonian or Pictish tribes, using their Roman training and knowledge to gain an advantage over the Romans in future conflicts? Some even speculate that the descendants of these soldiers continue to live among the northern tribes, their Roman lineage surviving long after Rome itself had fallen. This notion has inspired several works of fiction, most notably Rosemary Sutcliffe's novel The Eagle of the Ninth, in which the remnants of the legion escape into the highlands, hiding among the tribes and keeping their Roman identity secret. While highly speculative, the idea of a Roman legion abandoning the empire and disappearing into the mist-covered hills is a tantalizing one, stirring the imagination as much as any historical theory. There are also more supernatural interpretations. Some local legends suggest the Ninth never left Britain at all, but was wiped out in a battle so fierce that their spirits still haunt the land. For centuries, stories have been passed down about Roman ghosts marching along the misty countryside roads of Scotland. Some say the faint sounds of clashing swords and the rhythmic march of ironclad feet can still be heard echoing through the hills. The true fate of the Ninth Legion may never be fully revealed. If they were destroyed in battle, their remains might still lie buried beneath the hills of northern Britain, entombed in forgotten mass graves. If they were quietly reassigned, the last traces of their existence might be hidden in crumbling Roman monuments. But if they deserted, choosing freedom over empire, their story might not be one of vanishing, but of reinvention of a few soldiers who sought more than a life of subjugation, and by their choice became legends. The disappearance of the Ninth Legion remains one of Rome's greatest mysteries, a shadow in the annals of history, a whisper of a force that once marched beneath the eagle's standard, but whose fate remains unknown. The story lingers out there, beyond the reach of certainty, waiting for someone to uncover the past. Centuries of exploration, analysis, and excavation have brought no clear answers. Archaeologists continue to comb the British landscape, searching for Roman weapons, mass graves, or inscriptions that might reveal the fate of the Ninth. Despite advances in technology, such as satellite imaging and ground-penetrating radar, the ultimate truth about the Ninth Legion remains hidden, waiting to be uncovered. The history of the Ninth Legion dates back to the time of Julius Caesar, who raised this legion during his Gallic campaigns in the 1st century BC. Over time, the legion's movements can be traced across the empire, from Hispania to Germania and finally to Britannia, where it played a major role in defending Roman rule. However, by 119 CE, its trail abruptly disappears from history. The prevailing theory among scholars is that the Ninth met its end in Britain, likely in a catastrophic defeat at the hands of the northern tribes. But why, then, is there no written count of its destruction? Rome was quick to document the loss of legions. Yet for the Ninth, there is only silence. Some have suggested that the Ninth was simply reassigned elsewhere in the empire. References to the Ninth in the eastern provinces suggest they have been redeployed to Judea or Cappadocia, but there is no definitive proof to support this. Despite decades of research and excavation, no physical evidence has been found to confirm the Ninth's destruction in battle. Perhaps the fate of the Ninth will remain a mystery for centuries to come, its legacy shrouded in silence. Its story lost to time. The Ninth Legion, lost to time, remains a ghostly presence, much like the slow morning fog that rolls over the hills, veiling the land in its quiet embrace. Their story is fragmented, like the crumbling stone of forgotten monuments, leaving behind only whispers of their existence, echoes that persist through the ages. In the stillness of the Scottish Highlands, where the wind dances like a soft breath through the glens, some claim that the Legion still marches. Tales, half forgotten, speak of spectral soldiers walking empty roads, their iron-shod feet leaving a rhythmic sound with no clear origin. Legends tell of moonlit nights when the spirits of the Ninth emerge from the shadows, caught in a perpetual march across the land that once swallowed them. Some say they were broken in battle, their shields shattered, and their armor cracked by the blows of unseen enemies. Perhaps they fought until the end, surrounded by the wilderness, their path swallowed by dense forests and winding rivers, realizing no rescue would come. Or maybe they dissolved into the mists of history, their final battle so decisive, so complete, that Rome chose to forget them, letting them slip away like a fading dream. But even dreams leave traces, and the Ninth Legion has left its mark on time. Their absence speaks louder than any written record, filling the spaces between the pages of history like the profound silence before daybreak. Hadrian's Wall stands as a silent witness to their disappearance, a massive fortification built to secure Rome's northern frontier, a divide between the known and the unknown. Though the fate of the Ninth may never be fully revealed, their legend lives on. Their name is recalled in stories, in whispers, and in the minds of those who are drawn to the mysteries of the past. Up in the quiet hills, where the air smells of earth and rain, the Ninth might still be wandering, not physically, but in memory, always moving through the shadows of time. This concludes tonight's journey into the mystery of the lost Ninth Legion. But the past is filled with more stories, just waiting to be uncovered. In 1162, on the vast, wind-swept steppes of Mongolia, a child was born into a world of endless plains and cold winds. This child, named Eugene, would grow to become Genghis Khan, a name that would echo across history as the founder of the Mongol Empire. But before he became a conqueror, he was just a boy, shaped by the harshness of his environment and the struggles of his people. The Mongolian steppes stretched out, an endless expanse of grasslands where the sky met the earth in a seamless horizon. Life here was simple but brutal. Nomadic tribes moved with their herds, surviving the freezing winters and scorching summers. Strength, loyalty, and resilience were essential for survival. Eugene's early years were marked by hardship. His father, a minor tribal leader, was poisoned by a rival tribe, leaving his family vulnerable and abandoned by their clan. His mother, Helen, was left to raise Eugene and his siblings alone. The family had to fend for themselves, relying on foraging, hunting, and sheer determination to survive. These early struggles forged a deep resilience in young Eugene. He learned to endure hunger, cold, and constant threats of violence. He also learned the value of unity, family, and loyalty. His mother's strength became his guiding force, teaching him that survival required not only physical strength but also wisdom, patience, and unyielding spirit. As Yujin grew older, he began to understand the fractured world of the Mongol tribes. There were endless feuds, shifting alliances, and a constant struggle for power. He saw how disunity left his people vulnerable and dreamed of a world where the tribes could unite, where endless conflicts could be replaced with a shared purpose. But before he could realize this vision, he faced countless challenges. Betrayal was a constant threat. One of his closest friends, Jomuka, who had once sworn brotherhood with him, would later become his rival. Yujin's path was marked by moments of capture, imprisonment, and escape. Each setback only hardened his resolve. Yujin believed that true strength came not only from the sword, but from the unity of purpose and loyalty. Over time, he began to gather followers who saw his vision. He was not just a warrior, he was a leader who understood people. Unlike the traditional norms of noble birth, he rewarded loyalty and merit, a revolutionary idea in a world bound by hierarchy. His reputation grew, and more tribes pledged their allegiance to him. Yujin's ability to inspire, strategize, and adapt set him apart from others. He was relentless, determined, and focused on a singular goal: to unite the Mongol tribes under one banner. In 1206, after years of battles, alliances, and strategic brilliance, Yujin achieved his dream. He was declared Genghis Khan, meaning universal ruler. This title reflected his role as the unifier of the Mongols, a leader who brought together once fragmented tribes into a formidable force. But Genghis Khan's vision did not stop at the borders of Mongolia. He looked beyond the steppes, beyond the horizon. His ambition was to create a world where his people could thrive, where the divisions that had weakened them for centuries could be replaced by a new order. Genghis Khan's armies, composed of skilled horsemen and fierce warriors, began to expand the Mongol territory. With speed, discipline, and precision, they conquered lands that once seemed unreachable. Genghis Khan's leadership was marked by a combination of ruthless efficiency and strategic genius. He understood the importance of adapting to new challenges, incorporating new technologies, and learning from the cultures he encountered. Under his rule, the Mongol Empire became a melting pot of ideas, trade, and communication. But Genghis Khan was more than just a conqueror. He established laws that brought order to the chaos of his expanding empire. His code, known as the Yasa, emphasized loyalty, discipline, and justice. He promoted religious tolerance, recognizing that unity required respecting the beliefs of diverse peoples. He created systems of communication, trade routes, and infrastructure that connected distant parts of his empire. The Silk Road, once a dangerous and isolated route, flourished under Mongol protection, facilitating the exchange of goods, ideas, and cultures. Picture the vast Mongolian steppes beneath a star-filled night sky. The grass sways gently in the breeze, and the world is quiet, except for the soft sound of horses and the distant crackle of campfires. Genghis Khan's legacy stretches across these plains, a reminder of a leader who dreamed of unity, who faced the harshness of his world with unbreakable spirit. His life was a journey of resilience, vision, and transformation. He turned adversity into strength, chaos into order, and disunity into a vast and enduring empire. As you breathe deeply, let the story of Genghis Khan inspire you. His life reminds us that even in the face of unimaginable challenges, a determined spirit can overcome, a clear vision can unify, and resilience can shape the course of history. Genghis Khan transformed his hardships into strength, his struggles into purpose, and his dreams into reality. As you drift deeper into the calm embrace of sleep, let his journey guide your thoughts. His story of struggle, vision, and unrelenting determination speaks to the boundless potential within each of us, the power to overcome, lead, and create lasting change. Picture the endless Mongolian steppes beneath a vast night sky. The stars shine like scattered diamonds, illuminating the dark plain below. The wind moves softly, whispering tales of ancient conquests and unification. This is the world where Genghis Khan forged his legacy, a world where survival was harsh, but the spirit of resilience was even stronger. As his empire expanded, so too did his influence. His conquests stretched from the mountains of China to the deserts of Persia, from the plains of Russia to the cities of the Middle East. But beyond the battles and victories, Genghis Khan remained focused on a singular goal: creating a world where his people could thrive. His empire was not only vast but interconnected, where trade routes flourished, allowing goods, ideas, and innovations to flow freely across continents. This interconnected world laid the foundation for the exchange of cultures, bridging the gaps between civilizations that had once seemed impossible. As you breathe slowly, imagine the caravans moving across the Silk Road, their lanterns glowing softly in the dark, the gentle clinking of goods blending with the murmur of languages. This was the world where once isolated cultures began to connect, creating a tapestry of shared human experience. Genghis Khan's vision laid the foundation for this exchange, bridging civilizations and opening pathways that had once seemed impassable. As you relax further, let his legacy of unity, resilience, and vision fill your mind, reminding you that even in the face of adversity, greatness can be achieved. Greatness can be achieved. Greatness can be achieved. Greatness can be achieved.